Welcome back to the deep dive, everyone. It's great to have you with us again as we, sift through a whole load of information to find those useful bits, those aha moments. I'm really glad you're here today because we've got quite the journey ahead. We have this incredible stack of sources, all focusing on advanced vocabulary, and we're looking at it through a really practical lens and IELTS challenge. So our mission today, it's not just about, collecting new words like stamps. It's about really getting the feel of them, the nuances that make vocabulary not just good, but truly precise, advanced communication. We're aiming for what our sources are calling lexical depth and precision. And look, whether you're prepping for an exam, maybe a big meeting, or you're just curious about language, this deep dive should give you a bit of a shortcut to understanding some of these more academic, more complex terms. Oh, and before we really jump in, if you find these deep dives helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the Daily Colloquial English YouTube channel and maybe share it with anyone else you think might get something out of it. Okay, let's get started.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating when you look at these sources is how these kinds of questions are actually designed. They show that examiners aren't just checking if you know a word's basic meaning. Not at all. They're assessing something, well, much deeper. A real understanding of how words work together, in context. They're looking at several things. First, yeah, knowing the specific definition of less common words, that's important. But also things like collocation.
Ah, right, like how words naturally fit together.
Exactly. You dent a car, but you wouldn't really dent a book. It sounds wrong.
And then there's connotation.
The sort of feeling a word gives off, positive or negative.
Precisely, like repercussions. That word almost always signals something bad, doesn't it? And finally, it's about using academic and complex terms comfortably, moving beyond just everyday chat. The goal, as Material points out, is really hitting that band 7 to 9 skill level in vocabulary. That's what advanced proficiency looks like. Exactly. So this deep dive, it's definitely not about just memorizing lists. We're going to take these 30 advanced vocabulary questions, and we're going to sort of dissect each one, really get to the why behind the right answer, because that's how you develop that sophisticated understanding, right? Something you can actually use flexibly. Okay, let's dive into the first word. Let's talk about ramification. When we use that word, are we usually talking about consequences or celebrations?
Ramification definitely points towards consequences.
Hmm.
But, it's not just any consequence. When we dig a bit deeper, ramification often suggests the complex results, maybe indirect ones, sometimes unintended results of an action.
Okay, so like ripple effects.
Yeah, exactly. How one thing can spread out and cause a whole chain of effects, sometimes in ways you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Our sources actually mention that related words like repercussions usually have a negative feel, and ramification often carries that too. It suggests outcomes that need serious thought, things that aren't just simple or, cause for celebration. It points to a wider, sometimes quite serious aftermath.
Got it. So those deeper, potentially complicated results, very different from just an outcome. Okay, next word. To ameliorate a situation, does that mean to improve it or to worsen it?
To ameliorate means to improve it, yes. This is a good example of that academic vocabulary we mentioned. It's testing if you know that specific meaning. Ameliorate is about making something better or more bearable, more tolerable.
Right.
It's often used when talking about difficult situations, efforts to ameliorate poverty or perhaps ameliorate tension between groups. It signals a positive, constructive effort to make things better.
A really useful word for talking about solutions or positive changes. Okay, now for its counterpart. To exacerbate a problem, intensify or lessen.
To exacerbate means to intensify it. It's pretty much the direct opposite of ameliorate. If something exacerbates a problem, it makes an already bad situation even worse, more severe, more difficult.
Like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Exactly that analogy. It's about increasing the negative impact. You often see it used when discussing actions or factors that just make existing problems, well, worse.
Right, actively making things worse. Okay, word number 4. A catalyst. Is that something that initiates change or delays it?
A catalyst is something that initiates change. It comes from science originally,
Yeah.
where it speeds up a reaction without being used up itself. But in general use, a catalyst is anything, a person, an event, an idea that sparks change or makes it happen faster.
So it's the trigger.
It's the trigger, yeah. The driving force. It sets things in motion. It doesn't hold them back.
That makes sense. And speaking of things coming before others, a precursor? Is that a forerunner or a follower?
A precursor is a forerunner. This word describes something that comes before something else, and often it signals what's coming. It could be an early sign, an early version, or just something that precedes another thing.
Like a warning sign, maybe?
Could be. Or just an indication. Like, certain economic indicators might be precursors to a recession, or an early invention might be a precursor to a whole new technology. It helps us see what leads to what.
Helps identify signals. Got it. Okay, next. To mitigate damage. Does that mean reduce its impact or increase it?
To mitigate damage means to reduce its impact. This is a really key word in fields like environmental science, risk management, law. When you mitigate something, you're actively taking steps to make it less severe, less serious, less painful.
So, trying to lessen the bad effects.
Exactly. Like putting measures in place to mitigate flood damage or mitigate the risks of a project. It's about lessening the negative consequences.
Right, proactive steps to lessen harm. Okay, how about this? To curtail spending, limit it or extend it.
To curtail spending means to limit it. When you curtail something, you're cutting it back, reducing how much of it there is, or putting restrictions on it. It implies shortening it or bringing it under control.
Like reining it in.
Precisely. So curtailing spending just means spending less money, usually because you have to, or as part of a plan.
Putting the brakes on. Okay. Word 8, erosion. Does that usually mean a gradual decline or a sudden improvement?
Erosion typically means a gradual decline. Now, literally, it's about soil or rock wearing away, right? But metaphorically, which is how you often see it in an academic context, it refers to the slow, steady wearing away of something abstract.
Like trust or support.
Exactly. The erosion of trust, the erosion of confidence, maybe the erosion of standards. It suggests a slow, persistent weakening or decrease over time. Definitely not a sudden improvement.
That slow wearing down process. Okay. Next, proliferation. Does that mean a rapid increase or a slow disappearance?
Proliferation means a rapid increase. This word describes really quick growth or spread. Often it's used for things we see as negative, like the proliferation of weapons or diseases or even, misinformation online. But it can be neutral too. It just means a fast expansion in numbers of pretty much anything. The key aspects are the speed and the scale of that increase.
A big, fast increase. Got it. Now, related to change, resurgence. Does that mean revival or termination?
Resurgence means revival. A resurgence is when something comes back, it grows again after it's been in decline or inactive or maybe nearly gone. It signals renewed strength, renewed interest, renewed activity.
Like a comeback.
Exactly, a comeback. You might talk about the resurgence of vinyl records or a resurgence of a particular artistic style. It's about renewed vitality after a dip.
A strong return. Okay, another one often about relief. To alleviate pain. Relieve it or cause it.
To alleviate pain is to relieve it. This is quite similar to mitigate, which we talked about, but alleviates often focuses specifically on reducing suffering or hardship or discomfort, making something less severe, easier to bear.
Like making a burden lighter.
Yes, precisely. Medicine alleviates symptoms. Aid programs might alleviate poverty. It's about easing the negative condition.
Making things less difficult. Okay, next one. To substantiate a claim. Support it or deny it.
To substantiate a claim means to support it. This is absolutely critical in academic work, in research, in arguments. If you substantiate a claim, you provide evidence, facts, proof to show that it's true or valid.
So backing it up.
Exactly. Giving it a solid foundation, moving beyond just saying something to actually proving it or at least strongly supporting it with facts.
Providing the evidence. Right. Now the opposite. To invalidate a contract, cancel it or approve it.
To invalidate a contract means to cancel it. When you invalidate something, you make it no longer legally or officially effective. You render it null and void.
Okay.
So if a contract is invalidated, maybe because a rule wasn't followed, it loses its legal power. It's no longer binding.
Strips it of its power.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Number 14, a conducive environment. Helpful or harmful?
A conducive environment is helpful. If conditions or an environment are conducive to something, they make it easy or possible or likely for that thing to happen. It sets things up positively.
Fosters something good.
Yeah. Like a quiet library is conducive to studying. A supportive workplace might be conducive to creativity. It helps the desired outcome happen.
Creates the right setting. Okay. Next, an ambiguous statement. Unclear or obvious.
An ambiguous statement is unclear. Ambiguity means having more than one possible meaning or interpretation. So an ambiguous statement isn't precise. It's hard to know exactly what's meant, which can lead to confusion.
Leaves things open to interpretation.
Right. It lacks clarity, lacks definiteness.
Okay. Building on that idea, equivocal evidence. Uncertain or definite.
Equivocal evidence is uncertain. It's similar to ambiguous, but equivocal often suggests being deliberately vague or uncertain, sometimes even trying to mislead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it points more strongly towards doubt. Equivocal evidence doesn't clearly support one conclusion. It leaves you unsure, possibly because it's contradictory or just plain unclear. It actively suggests uncertainty.
So evidence that really doesn't give a clear answer. Right. Number 17, a paradigm. Is that a model or a mistake?
A paradigm is a model. And this is a really interesting one. The sources define paradigm as a fundamental model or framework. It's like a standard perspective, a widely accepted way of thinking about something, especially in science or academia.
Like a foundational pattern of thought.
Exactly. It's the underlying structure for how we understand a whole field sometimes.
Okay. And flowing from that, a paradigm shift. Major change or minor error?
A paradigm shift is definitely a major change. This isn't just tweaking things. A paradigm shift is a fundamental, often radical change in the basic concepts and practices within a discipline. A whole new way of looking at things emerges.
A complete rethinking.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how often we actually experience such deep, fundamental shifts in how we understand big, complex issues. It's quite profound when it happens.
It really is. Okay, next, a discrepancy. Difference or similarity?
A discrepancy is a difference. More specifically, it's a lack of agreement or consistency between two or more things that should match up. It points to a conflict or something that doesn't quite fit.
Like when the numbers don't add up.
Exactly. A discrepancy between two witness accounts or between the forecast and the actual results. It highlights an inconsistency that needs looking into.
That inconsistency that makes you pause. Okay, how about a viable solution? Workable or impossible?
A viable solution is workable. If something is viable, it means it's capable of working successfully. It's practical, it's feasible given the current circumstances. It suggests it has a real chance of success if you try it.
It has potential.
Yes, real potential to succeed. Often used when assessing plans or ideas.
Got it. And very closely related, number 21, a feasible plan. Possible or unrealistic?
A feasible plan is possible. Again, very close to viable. Feasible emphasizes that something can be done, that can be carried out, usually within specific constraints like time, money, or resources.
So practical achievability.
Right. A plan might seem viable in theory, but is it actually feasible to implement right now? That's the question feasibility often addresses. Can we actually do it?
What can actually be done? Makes sense. Next, a contentious issue. Controversial or peaceful?
A contentious issue is controversial.
Yeah, contentious describes something that's likely to cause arguments or disagreements. It's marked by controversy. People often have strong, opposing views about it.
Something that sparks debate.
Exactly. It stirs things up, makes neutrality difficult.
Okay, here's one about belief. A plausible explanation. Believable or ridiculous?
A plausible explanation is believable. If something's plausible, it seems reasonable, it seems probable, it's credible, it makes sense even if it's not proven 100%. It holds up to basic scrutiny.
Sounds like it could be true.
Right. It's logically coherent, believable on the surface.
Okay. And its opposite then, an implausible excuse. Unlikely or convincing.
An implausible excuse is unlikely, just the opposite of plausible. Implausible means it doesn't seem reasonable or probable. It's hard to believe, sounds far-fetched, lacks credibility.
Doesn't ring true.
Exactly. And notice the prefix im meaning not. Knowing prefixes like that can be a huge help with vocabulary. Definitely. Okay, next, a consequence. Result or cause?
A consequence is a result. Now, this might seem basic, but understanding consequence as the result or effect that follows an action or cause is fundamental, especially in academic talk where outcomes are always being analyzed. And as we touched on with ramifications, consequences aren't always neutral. They can carry weight, sometimes negative weight.
The outcome of something. Right. Now, expenditure. Spending or saving.
Expenditure refers to spending. This is a more formal term you see a lot in finance, economics, government reports. Expenditure is the act of spending money, or the total amount of money spent over a period.
The formal word for spending money. Okay. 27. Depletion. Reduction or increase.
Depletion means reduction. To deplete something is to use it up, to exhaust the supply. So depletion is that process of significant reduction or exhaustion.
Like using up resources.
Exactly. Often used for natural resources, depletion of oil reserves, depletion of fish stocks, or even personal resources like depletion of energy. It means diminishing something important.
Using it up. Okay. Next, a volatile market. Unstable or stable?
A volatile market is unstable. Volatile describes something that's liable to change rapidly and unpredictably. Big swings, instability.
Lots of ups and
Yeah,
downs.
exactly. So a volatile market has prices fluctuating wildly. It suggests risk and uncertainty.
Unpredictable changes. Got it. Nearly there. A lucrative business. Profitable or unprofitable?
A lucrative business is profitable, and not just profitable, but highly profitable. Lucrative means producing a great deal of profit or wealth, financially rewarding.
Brings in a lot of money.
Yes, it implies a really good return, significant financial success, a fruitful venture.
Okay, makes sense. And the last one, number 30, to deteriorate. Does that mean to worsen or improve?
To deteriorate means to worsen. This is another key academic verb describing decline. When something deteriorates, it becomes progressively worse in quality, condition, or value.
Getting worse over time.
Exactly. It's the opposite of improve or ameliorate. Think about health deteriorating, or a building deteriorating, or even relations deteriorating. It signifies a negative trend.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot there. So after going through all 30 of those, what does this all really mean for, for you listening, for us as learners?
Well, if you connect the dots, you can see these 30 words. They aren't just random, are they? Our sources suggest they're typical of the kind of vocabulary meticulously chosen to push people towards that higher band 7.5, 8, 9 level in IELTS, particularly writing and speaking.
Yeah,
And honestly, for anyone wanting truly advanced English,
right.
the examiner isn't just ticking boxes for basic definitions. They're looking for that lexical depth and precision we mentioned. Do you get the specific meaning? Do you know how it collocates? Which words go with it naturally? Do you sense the connotation? Can you use it right in an academic or complex discussion? It's really about building that robust, nuanced vocabulary that lets you express complex ideas accurately and, well, elegantly.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive really shows it wasn't just about finding the right multiple choice answer. It was about digging into the why. Thinking about those subtle connotations, the words that naturally hang out together, the collocations and where these words actually live, their academic context. We've explored not just what they mean, but what they imply, who their friends are, word-wise. Hopefully that encourages you to pay more attention to those details when you encounter new words. It's about developing that deeper linguistic feel, not just a longer list. So you've basically just had a concentrated dose, a shortcut to understanding a really critical part of advanced English. We've dived deep into words that genuinely shape academic and complex conversations. Hopefully you had a few of those aha moments yourself and maybe feel a bit more confident tackling these kinds of linguistic hurdles, whether it's in writing or just, in a thoughtful discussion.
And maybe this whole exploration prompts a final thought for everyone listening. In a world absolutely flooded with information, where, let's face it, nuance often gets lost, how much more critical does that precision in language actually become? And how can consciously refining our vocabulary, really understanding these subtle differences, empower us not just to communicate better, but maybe even to think more clearly about the incredibly complex issues we're all facing? Something to ponder, perhaps.
That's a great point to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this exploration of advanced vocabulary helps you on your own journey towards achieving real lexical depth and precision. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.